President Donald Trump has announced a trade deal has been reached with the UK, but it's not really as good of a deal as a lot of people were hoping it was going to be, and really indicates that the president at this time is looking for absolutely any wins that he can get under his belt, as he is absolutely reeling in the polls from people disapproving of his economic policy in general, but specifically these trade deals are very, very much bringing Trump standing down with the American public. But before we look at that, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. So we'll head over here to Mediaite, where it says Trump inks first post-tariff trade deal with the UK, says the golden age of America is coming. It's coming, folks. Just wait. Donald Trump inked his first trade deal since launching a sweeping global tariff war last month, and he's kicking things off with one of America's oldest allies, the UK. The president announced Thursday via Truth Social that the U.S. had struck a full and comprehensive trade deal with the United Kingdom, a move that reboots economic ties just weeks after Trump sent shockwaves through global markets with a new wave of protectionist tariffs. The agreement with the UK is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship between the United States and the UK for many years to come. Because of our long time history and allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement. Many other deals, which are in serious stages of negotiations, to follow. The deal marks a high-profile win for both Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. For Trump, it's a signal that his agenda can still yield deals rather than just disruption. But here's the thing. Trump is absolutely reeling in the polls from his terrible, terrible trade policy. Here's a poll that says that a whopping 75% of Americans think Trump's tariffs will increase prices. Majority want costs labeled on goods. YouGov released a new poll this week on Americans' views of President Donald Trump, his handling of the economy, and their optimism for the future. The poll found a whopping 75% of Americans believe that Trump's tariffs will increase prices, and a strong majority want those additional costs explained to them on the packaging. This was a poll of 1,850 adults. 46% of respondents said that they believe Trump's tariffs are harmful to the economy and consumers with no real long-term benefits. 46% of Americans. Now we're going to look at a prominent conservative radio host who is not buying what the Trump administration is selling in terms of this trade deal that has been made with the UK, with Trump also saying, oh, don't worry, there's a bunch of other deals that are in late stages of negotiation. But what we also have learned is that there's been no negotiation happening with China whatsoever, which is one of the largest countries that we trade with in the whole entire world and has some of the highest tariffs on their goods. And we're already seeing that ports are empty on the West Coast because American businesses are not importing goods from China because of these steep tariffs. So now let's look at what this conservative Eric Eckerson has to say. Conservative radio star Eric Eckerson panned Donald Trump's newly announced trade deal with the UK on Thursday, deeming it shitty. His agreement with the UK is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship. Oh, this is Trump's announcement that he made, that I just read. Trump says that he thinks it's a great deal for both parties. But Eric Eckerson doesn't see it that way. It's actually a pretty shitty deal with the UK. First, they told us that the 10% tariff was just a baseline for negotiations to get free trade deals. Now we're being told the 10% tariff is for keeps. That's just a tax on the American people. Erickson also shared a criticism of the deal made by conservative economist Joel Griffith, who argued that tripling our tariff to 10% on UK imports is hardly a win for the American people, and it's hardly reciprocal at 5 times the UK's level. This so-called trade deal is a multi-billion-dollar tax hike, and nationalizing, socializing British steel at Trump's behest is hardly free market. Dirty little secret is many of the suddenly loud pro-tariff voices don't like them, but want to be seen as team members and are mad at the rest of us for not joining them in line. So it's like, it's not a improvement to be not as worse off as we were a few days ago, right? But still worse off, much, much worse off than we were before Trump announced these tariffs whatsoever, right? We're not going to sit back and just accept the Trump administration telling us, oh, these deals are great, don't you worry, when the American consumers out there are still going to be paying much more if these tariffs are to go into effect and at the end of Trump's 90-day pause. And even in the case of the UK, we're still tariffing UK imports at 10%, which is again going to be passed on to American consumers. So this is not anywhere close to free trade whatsoever that the Trump administration told us repeatedly that the 10% tariffs that he was implementing were going to get us to. So this is not a situation where it's like, oh, good, okay, phew, that tariff, the threat of tariffs absolutely decimating the economy is now gone because of this one deal that Trump has made. Not the case whatsoever. The American economy still stands to be decimated by Trump's disastrous trade war that we are losing. And this is just one deal that's been made, right? And apparently there's others that are going to be coming, but I don't buy that whatsoever. And if the deals that are coming are anything like this deal that's been signed with the UK, this is not something that Trump is going to be able to negotiate his way out of. And on that point, we have a CNN reporter throwing cold water on Trump deal, desperate for any kind of win. So it says, let's go now to CNN White House correspondent Kristen Holmes. Kristen, just how significant is today's announcement? Wolf Blitzer is asking. Well, Wolf, it depends on what you mean by the word significant. Do you mean significant in terms of an actual trade deal, or just the fact that there is a deal at all? Because what we are hearing right now is that this deal between the two countries is not actually going to be anything majorly significant. For example, we've heard it's limited in scope, that it's very heavy on future commitments. So we have a deal. It's not as good as a lot of people were hoping, and it doesn't get us back to free and open trade between the United States and the UK. Let's hope that any future trade deals are much, much more favorable to the American consumer, and that this isn't a sign of things to come, in that these trade deals that are being made are not going to be enough whatsoever to walk us back from the brink of recession.